25 years after its initial release, Goldeneye has finally returned to home consoles. This has got me thinking not only about this game, obviously, but the future of the Bond game franchise as a whole. I mean, think about it. This is the first major James Bond video game since 007 Legends back in 2012. Now with this, and the IO developed 007 game on the horizon, I almost feel like a renaissance is upon us for James Bond video games. But before I discuss the future, we need to take a look back at the past, and discuss my first time ever completing Goldeneye with this re-release. You know, I spent years watching videos online about Goldeneye, hearing stories about its legendary multiplayer, and seeing videos about its excellent single player. All of this built the game up in my head as a legendary experience, so when rumors started flying around about a possible Goldeneye re-release, to say I was hyped would be the understatement of the century. So when I finally saw that announcement trailer, I was almost shaking with excitement. Now it's here, and I've completed the single player story mode, and it's okay. I'm kidding. Goldeneye is great, and while I wish I had someone to play multiplayer with, the single player campaign by itself is still excellent to this day. You heard me. Comparing this to modern day first person shooter games would not do them any favors. Goldeneye features things that you just don't see in modern day shooters. Levels where you're encouraged to play them the way you want to, whether it be stealthy or all-out action. Interesting level design that demands you learn the layout to complete the mission to its fullest. Gadgets that have you interacting with the levels and truly making you feel like 007. Out of all of these though, the biggest thing I noticed that made Goldeneye stand out was the difficulty. Goldeneye is difficult. Levels are stuffed to the brim with enemies that can melt your health in seconds. Levels like Train and Forest really show the aggressiveness of the enemies. But another thing that makes Goldeneye difficult is the aforementioned learning the full level layout. Some level layouts cause you to spend minutes on end just searching for a very random and hard to see item. But again, it still does a great job at allowing you to experience the full level layout. Even the escort missions with Natalia were not as bad as I thought they would be. You just have to make some smart decisions when it comes to keeping her safe. For the first one, just don't let her out of the cell until every enemy is dead. As for the second level, just leave her for last, so there aren't any enemies that you have to worry about killing her. Natalia gets a Magnum in the jungle mission, so you don't really have to worry about her there. As for Control, yeah, the Natalia defense segment is maybe the hardest part of the game. This is just the secret agent difficulty. I haven't even touched the 00 agent difficulty, because I don't hate myself that much. Although I should give the difficulty a mention, as Goldeneye does difficulty in a genuinely interesting way. While most video games just use difficulty as a way to make the enemies harder and make you weaker, Goldeneye actually adds more mission objectives in order to complete the mission. This makes it to where changing the difficulty completely changes the way you play the game. Now before moving on to the conclusion of the review part of this video, I need to discuss the music. Because holy crap, this music is amazing. This soundtrack is legendary for a reason. It could even pass as a Bond movie soundtrack. It's that good. But without going into the multiplayer, that's all I have to say about Goldeneye. It's an incredibly solid and fun old-school first-person shooter, and I had a great time going through it. Now the only question is, which version do you get? You could go with the Switch version, which does have online multiplayer, but can suffer from the issues of the Switch Online service. Then, there's the Xbox version, which runs fairly smooth and has the better controls, but doesn't have online multiplayer, just local. So which version would I recommend you get? This might seem like a bit of a bias, since it's the only version I've played, but I'd go with the Xbox Series version. This decision primarily comes down to cost. In order to get the Switch version, you must be subscribed to the Nintendo Switch Online service. This costs about $50 a year, whereas the Xbox version, you'll either subscribe to Xbox Game Pass, or you must have a digital copy of Rare Replay. I chose the Rare Replay option as I didn't want to pay for a subscription service. With Rare Replay, I paid one time, and now the game is in my library. Now yes, it sucks that if you own the physical version of Rare Replay, you can't get Goldeneye. But it doesn't surprise me that in order for this game to come out, some concessions had to be made. However, there is one thing I should mention. While I will still recommend the official Xbox version, I can't forget to mention the cancelled Xbox Live Arcade version. You knew I was going to talk about this version. This is just the original game, but it runs at a consistent 60 frames per second, has supremely upgraded visuals, improved controls, and if you know how to get it set up, you can get online multiplayer working on this thing. I'm not going to go in depth on this version, because again, it's just Goldeneye, but better. Whichever way you choose to play it though, I'm sure you'll have a good time. But now this begs the question, could Goldeneye coming back lead to more 007 games being re-released? Because James Bond video games go beyond Goldeneye. Just to name a few games, there's The World Is Not Enough for N64, Agent Under Fire, Nightfire, my personal favorite, Everything or Nothing, GoldenEye Rogue Agent. Oh man. What if someone actually believed I was gonna ask for that travesty to be brought back? Oh man. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah. From Russia with Love, Quantum of Solace, Bloodstone, and GoldenEye Reloaded. I know I'm shooting for the stars asking for this, but think about it for a second. Daniel Craig is no longer James Bond, and the next actor to play the role won't be known for a while, so this is the perfect time to revisit the material of past Bonds. Not to mention, while most people will say that GoldenEye is the best, I feel like the other Bond games have a lot to offer. Specifically Nightfire and Everything or Nothing. These games truly make you feel like you're playing a James Bond film. Others may disagree, but I feel like these offer the closest to being a perfect Bond video game. I could make a whole video talking about these games in detail, and maybe I will in the future. But for now, all I will say is that if GoldenEye can come back and be playable in 2023, getting the other Bond games back shouldn't be that hard. I'm probably simplifying things, but I do think that these games deserve a chance to come back like GoldenEye did.